Hey guys, welcome back to We Met at Acme. I'm so excited to be here with Lindsey and Krista from Almost 30 podcast and now their book. Hi.
We're so happy to be
Yeah,
here.
it feels like, honestly, we're OGs.
Yeah, truly.
This is an OG room.
Yeah.
This is an OG reunion.
Only.
Yes.
Only.
Yeah, only.
Yeah.
I have been watching you guys and your career from afar, and it's so cool. It feels like a full circle moment. I also love that you never changed the name Almost 30.
Thank you.
Because in our hearts, we're still
Yes.
almost 30, you know?
If I had a day that lasted, I'm not 30. I can't, like, every single day of my life, someone's like, are you over 30? Like, the age thing sticks with us forever.
It trips people up. But I agree. It's like, it's such an iconic thing. If you have grown with us, which I know so many of your audience have grown with you, like you couldn't change the name.
No.
It'd be different. They'd be pissed.
No, I can't even change my logo. Like I have been pressured
love
so
your
many
logo.
times and I'm like, I just can't. Like I'm not, I can't do it. But before we get into anything, we always start with what is your favorite romantic gesture for whoever wants to go first. And this is for someone to do for you.
My favorite romantic gesture, and this is so simple, just good eye contact. I'm such an eye contact person. It's so meaningful to me to just be attuned to someone and make really good eye contact. And that says so much about like your presence and all that. So really good eye contact is just everything to me.
I think for me, now that I'm married, it's like when we meet each other at the end of the day, when he comes home from work and I'm kind of in the mix with Mav, like almost like taking me aside and like having a moment with me, whether it's like a kiss, a make out, a hug, how are you, eye contact, just like that connection point. Cause I'm on one probably at that time at 5 p.m. And so to kind of like almost co-regulate my nervous system with his is like, that's the foreplay I need.
No, that's really nice and special. And I did a little stalking of you guys. And tell me if I'm wrong. Are you Virgo and Pisces?
Yeah.
Opposite
but
signs.
Virgo rising.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, so Krista, you're Pisces sun.
Yes.
Virgo rising.
Sag moon. Uh-huh.
Sag moon. Wow, that's a great chart.
If I do say so myself. I think you're supposed to love your chart, but like there's sometimes I just like I'm walking in the street, I'm like, what a great chart.
No, that's a really good chart. And Lindsey, do you know yours?
I'm Virgo sun, Gemini moon,
Okay. Also
Libra rising.
So you guys are like almost complete opposites, except for the risings.
Uh-huh. I would say a lot of my best friends are Virgo risings. There's a texture of a Virgo rising that I just really appreciate.
I'm biased, but I love a
right?
Virgo
It's just
rising.
like we get each other, and I've dated a lot of Virgo risings. It's like my
husband's a Virgo rising.
I
too.
just broke up with a Virgo rising. My ex-husband was a Virgo rising. I love.
Wait, so when was your ex-husband's sign? Like
He
sun
was a
sign?
Taurus sun,
Okay.
Virgo rising, Libra moon.
Interesting.
And it's funny because my dad was a Pisces, my mom was a Taurus, I'm a Pisces, he was a Taurus. So a lot of the lessons that I kind of learned were kind of similar to my parents. I'll never date a Taurus again, but
Yeah.
I loved that. But
I like Taurus women.
yes, yeah, I like Gemini women. They're so much fun. They're like
Yes.
so
Gemini
high energy. Gemini men,
Scare me a little.
I'm good. Sag women, I love.
Yeah.
Volatile,
Love. we love our moon signs always.
always.
And so when is your husband's birthday, Lynn?
He is a Pisces,
Okay.
sun, Cap, moon.
Oh, so you're also opposite.
Oh no, Cancer. Cancer.
So you love Pisces.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. They have some of my greatest lessons in my life.
Yeah.
Ready for me.
Totally.
Super deep. It's the best. It's like a really nice balance.
And when
for
is your
me.
son's birthday?
He was born 5 minutes after the sun went into Virgo.
Okay.
So he's Virgo.
So he's like
Virgo rising.
September.
Our
and
little king.
Scorpio moon.
So he's no. He's August 23rd.
23rd.
Okay.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love
What's
that.
yours? What's your son?
Zachary's birthday is he's a Capricorn.
I love Capricorn.
He's all earth. He's Capricorn with a Virgo rising because all of us.
Because king.
Because all of us and a Taurus moon,
Wow, that's nice.
which is
That's really nice.
I think the Taurus moon, and then we'll stop with astrology because everyone's like skip. I think his Taurus moon makes him like want to be with his mom,
yeah.
but maybe that's just me projecting, you know?
I love
Because it feels good. Okay, let's back it up. Let's set the scene for when Almost 30 began.
Mhm.
Where were you guys, assuming you were almost 30,
Mhm.
and what made you want to start the pod?
Yeah, Krista and I met in our late 20s, around 27, and it was messy. I'm sure a lot of people are nodding, when they think back to like 26, 27, you think like you should have your life together. And we did. We were kind of set up to think like we'll be married by 27, 28. We'll have kids by the time we're 30. We'll have a house by the time we're 31. And it was not that at all. I was in the wake of like a big relationship bomb where I like cheated on my boyfriend who I thought I would be with for the rest of my life. I was like, who am I to do something like that, to betray him? And I was also in a lot of debt. I just didn't know how to manage my money. It would like fall through my fingers. And Krista was dealing with health issues. And she was also just kind of navigating her relationships in a new way and really desperately wanting to find her purpose. And so we met through SoulCycle. I was an instructor at the time, and Krista really wanted to become an instructor. So a mutual friend introduced us. And just like right away, we clicked. It felt like what we were going through was not something we needed to hide, was not something we needed to be embarrassed by. We kind of felt at home in the sense that we could really go deep right away. And it was through our conversations that I just felt like, okay, it's not just me. I don't have to like kind of be in my own little world and try and figure it out all on my own. Like I can lean on people. And so she came to me one day and she's like, do you think we should start a podcast about like what we're talking about? And I was like, I don't know really what a podcast is, but I'm always down to start something creative. So I grabbed my little recorder in my drawer that I used to sing on, and we just started in our closets.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It was quite the time. I think for a lot of people during that time, you're told that you're going to be married with your kids and have a house. A lot of our parents had that path. And no one that I knew really had that except for the people that I grew up with from Ohio. And so we were kind of traversing these like new landscapes. And when we met, there was this like texture of depth that I was really missing from the relationships that I had. And it felt like a really special connection. And we had no intention of the podcast being anything. And then really it just became something that satisfied my quest for knowledge and information and growth. And it was just so beautiful. And it's been such a beautiful journey throughout.
That's amazing. And I know that you guys have had your own dating journeys throughout the entire time. Krista, you got married and divorced.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Mm-hmm. Were there any things that you look back and you're like, I should have, known about this, and this, or, just tell us a little bit about it.
I'm going to take up a little bit of space here because I was just laughing when you were talking because honestly, because we had the podcast for 10 years now. So I was married for 8 of those years, I think. And the way that I felt like I knew, like I would I would give advice and I'd be like, you guys, when you find your person, it just is different. And I was just saying all of this information that I thought I knew being with my ex. I did feel that.
Time.
So I will say,
authentic.
It was true and authentic, and I felt he was a soulmate of mine, which was beautiful. So we met when I was like 24, something like that. I was in early 20s. And when you're in your early 20s, what you're looking for in a partner is way different than what you're looking for when you get older. So what I was looking for was hot, swaggy, cool, athletic. My friends like him. It was very surface level and basic. Mm-hmm. And he fulfilled all of that and, was an amazing person in my life. But then as I got older and as I really changed and developed and started to grow and started to prioritize different things and my values changed, I just really realized that, we weren't a fit anymore. And I think some of the things that I've learned in ending that relationship was that I learned a lot about codependency and the ways in which I was prioritizing everyone else's comfort over mine. And how in relationships you can really lose yourself. And it was such a difference between the person I was on Almost 30 and when I'd go home. When I'd go home, I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't prioritize myself. It was just like I really lost myself in that relationship and really felt really lost. But ending it was such a power move for me because I think a lot of people stick in relationships that are mediocre or lackluster and really choose to just live in good. A lot of people will just suffer in a low grade pain for the rest of their lives because they're afraid of the choice to move. And so I chose to do the harder thing that I didn't know was going to lead me to where it has rather than just sticking around for safety. And it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Not saying anything about him. It was just for me the best. And since then, it's been such a beautiful rediscovery of who I am and like a resculpting of who I am and a reclaiming of the person I want to be. And I've just had such a beautiful experience. And I really just want to kind of like lay that out for women, because I think we grow up thinking that breakups are bad. You have ice cream, you hang out on the couch. It's like the worst, everything's going to be bad after a breakup. It usually, for all the women that I know in my life, has been the best decision that they've ever made. And they've changed and transformed in really beautiful ways. So learned a lot, really beautiful process, really, really hard for sure, but really glad to be on the other side.
It's funny that you say that, because I don't know where I saw it or read it, but oh, okay.
Good eye.
Cool.
Okay, tell me when. It's so funny that you say that, because I don't know where I saw it or read it, or maybe it was just a conversation with friends. But now when someone gets divorced, it's not just like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, or congratulations.
Girl,
All
my friends, so many of my friends are divorced, and I always say the real G's are divorced. Like, it's just like, because you learn so much and you commit to yourself. And like, if you take any opportunity like that and use it for your greatest good, it will be the best thing that ever happens to you. And if you choose to really learn the lessons, do the work, commit to yourself, it can be the best thing. And, I obviously don't want divorce for everyone.
No, but we all know some people who should be divorced.
Absolutely.
Oh, that was
I
my
think
whole
more
thing.
often than not.
That was, I just was like, I just didn't want that. Like, I saw that growing up. I grew up in Ohio, small town, and most relationships, they literally secretly hated each other. Yeah. They would just live with each other in this low-grade annoyance or frustration or disdain. And I'm like, what a disservice to your life, to commit to your person that's going to be someone that you secretly hate. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to choose to have the harder route to lead me to the better love that I know is, made for me.
Yeah. And this has probably been discussed before, so I apologize for asking again. But were kids ever a discussion with you and your ex-husband? And do you think that if they were, and you were kind of hesitant, that it had more to do with the health of your relationship?
Yeah, I think so. We had discussed kids. Kids was something we both really wanted. I think because we both had feelings about where we were. So I think that created hesitancy in that decision. And I think, to speak to the decision for someone to get divorced if they have kids versus the decision to get divorced if you don't is a totally different world. And I can't, I have friends that have gotten divorced with kids, and it's a whole nother experience that I honestly can't speak to. And I'm sure my journey would be so different with that. It's just so different. And my parents even divorced, and they waited till we went to college, which was really kind of them.
People always do that.
Yeah.
Do you really think that's kind though? Honestly.
I do. You know what's funny is what's funny is that's actually my talk track to say that's kind. And I actually want to rethink about that, because it was really painful to be in that home, you know?
Right. And obviously I wasn't in your position, but I imagine you want your parents to do what's going to make them happy.
Totally. I think it's so powerful you bring this up, because I think this narrative is a new conversation that we're having at this time.
Right.
Growing up, the narrative was for you to sacrifice, for the women especially to sacrifice. I'll never forget one of the Oprah episodes in the 90s. She had this woman on that was telling the audience of women that they need to fill their cups up first before they fill everyone else's. So basically take care of yourself before everyone else's. And all the women in the audience started booing. They were like, we can't do that. We have to love our kids and our husband. They were irate at the thought of taking care of yourself first.
But now that's said every day.
Every day. That's every Instagram graphic says that. And so we're so lucky that we can now be at a time. So now looking back, I'm grateful for their thought and energy behind that. But of course, I would have been much happier having them choose themselves and take care of themselves, because now I'm dealing with the repercussions of looking at parents that went through what they went through when we were younger.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. And Lindsey, you, while Krista was in this marriage, you were single, and you had, as you mentioned, gotten out of this relationship you were in. You had cheated, which didn't feel on brand for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think changed in you to help you find your husband?
Yeah, I mean, so much. I always joke. I'm like, if God was like, hey, so for the next 7 years, you're going to be single, but on the other side, you're going to find your person, I'd be like, I'm good. Like, sooner the better. Let's go. I was very focused on finding my person at 26, 27. Like, it just felt like that was the expectation I had set for myself, but also I just felt the pressure from society, from what I was seeing with my friends. They were settling down, like they were kind of creating their lives. And I really had no awareness of like how my own unique path could just be like the best adventure of all time. I was very much like outward focused. So during that period, I would say for the first 3 or 4 years, I was chasing after the wrong guys. I was settling for very mediocre behavior. They would text me at 11 p.m. I'd be like, yeah, I'm up. Let's go. Like I was partaking in these relationships and basically affirming that the way they were showing up was okay. And I was not holding boundaries or like asking for what I need or what I really desired in a relationship. I was just taking the crumbs where I could. And there was a particular night, I was living in West LA at the time, and it was a Friday night, and I was hoping someone would text me, one of the guys I was hooking up with or one of my friends, like to invite me out to a bar, club, whatever. I got dressed, did my hair. Like, we know that feeling where we're kind of like getting ready for something that we don't know we're going to be invited to, but we hope we are. And I started to make myself a little dinner. And then it just like creeped past like 9:30, 10. I'm like, oh, I'm not getting the text. And so I got super emotional. I think, looking back, I'm like, wow, dramatic. But I think it was more the emotion of like, I am so sick of this. I am so sick of waiting for someone to choose me, waiting for someone to invite me somewhere, and just waiting for someone to give me the green light so I can start living my life. And so that was the night I was like crying on the floor. I was literally like rolling around. It was fun. It was fun, actually. And on the other side of it, when you have a good cry, I just felt lighter and I just felt more clear. It's like, after the rain, you're just like, okay. So like really clear, crisp skies. And I was like, no more. Like, I am going to be fully committed to myself right now. And I'm going to date myself. And so that kind of started this journey that, I've branded like the sacredness of being single, but it became this insanely sacred time to get to know myself without being in a relationship, get to know myself at this age, at this stage in my life, and really walk back to my center because I had just walked so far. So, I would go on my solo trips. I did a lot of therapy. And I really started to understand like why I was showing up for relationships in the way that I was and why I was not asking for what I needed. And, that takes me back to childhood and all the things you do in therapy, which was just so enlightening, a little bit confronting, but very enlightening. And, towards the end of that 7-year period, it was 2019. And I remember going on a solo trip and just feeling like I'm good. I'm good if I never meet my person. Like, I am just like so at peace with myself. I didn't really believe that I would never meet someone, but it was just like this internal peace of like, wow, Linz, like you've come far. Like from desperately needing someone to choose you to actually choosing yourself. It sounds corny, but it's like a profound shift.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 months later that I reconnected with my now husband. And last thing I'll say is that it's funny because when I first met Sean, I literally remember saying to my roommate, I could never marry Sean Legister. Like I could never marry him.
Why?
There was just things about him that like annoyed me. I was like, he eats his chicken like this and like stupid ass things that like silly. He was very direct. He was very like, he told me how he felt in a way that like, there was not like any sugar coating or like holding back. He was just very like in a way that was him. It wasn't being like mean, but it was just him. And I think for someone who grew up as like polite people pleaser, you know, we don't say things da da da. It was very intense. But some of the things that like gave me the quote ick then, I love the most now. So it's like just so interesting. It's just shown me how much I've grown. So when we sat down to dinner that night when we reconnected, I was like, oh my God, he's my person. This is so weird. Like I just felt it. Yet, you know, 12 years prior, it was like never.
How did you originally know each other?
I was a bottle girl at Bounce Sporting Club.
Wait, that's amazing. You know, I used to do their social media.
Shut up.
I swear. And so many people met their husbands there.
Dude.
So many people.
So great.
I love that.
Wait, you should start a podcast about Bounce Sporting
I
Club.
wonder if your
too.
picture was on there. You like just like
Well, what was
definitely.
the photographer
What
that
was the
did all
social
of
media
the
strategy?
Champagne. You know what I'm talking about.
Kirill was here.
Kirill was here, dude. Oh,
wait, what was
my
the strategy?
This like the social
Yeah.
media strategy,
Yeah.
just like post pictures
Hotties?
of like hotties and like good food. Honestly, it was more the food that they wanted to highlight, which I
Oh.
don't know why. Because like no one's going there for
No
the
one's going
food.
there for the food, bro.
But like hot girls and food on their Instagram.
Hey, man.
You know, yeah.
That's so funny.
You were probably in the photos.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I met some of my
But wait,
best
but you were
friends
in
doing
New
that.
York? I thought
Yeah.
you were. So when did you leave LA? After the crying?
I was in New York 2011 to 2014.
Okay.
In 2014, I moved to LA.
I see.
until
Okay, so it was
2021.
before the crying moment.
The crying moment was in LA in
My girl's stuck on the crying.
probably 2017.
Okay.
16.
Okay.
You moved
So
back?
okay, so you're at Bounce. You meet Sean.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He has a table or something.
He didn't have a table. He's a year and a half younger than me. So I was 20.
He orders Ace of Spades. What do you do?
No. Well, the funny thing about him, he didn't really drink.
Yeah.
So he would order like a pineapple or Sprite and pineapple.
Why was he there?
Well, because he loves being in the mix. He's
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a people person. Like
Yeah.
his friends would go, he would take clients, yada yada, whatever. It was the place to be. And when I met him and he ordered that, I was like, what a loser. Like ordering a Sprite and pineapple. Like, who is this guy? But anyway,
But now you're like, that's such a turn on that he doesn't.
I know. I'm like, thank God. Honestly, thank God. And yeah, and he asked me out directly. Was just like, I would love to get to know you. Like I'm friends with LT, a girl I worked with, and she said that you're single. Like I'd love to just get to know you and take you out. And I was like, okay. You know, I was just kind of like, what? Direct, clear.
So you did you go out?
Yeah, we went out to
Okay.
we like pseudo dated for a hot second, but I never let it get that far. Like I just was always like this. Like
Did you ever sleep together?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then
In the
so
early
then
days.
life happens. And then how do you reconnect?
And we stay connected, like just platonically, like friends. He would come to LA for work. I would see him, but we would never hook up, nothing. He always had a girlfriend. Like he's kind of a
Did you feel
girlfriend
the
guy.
charge when you were together as friends?
Yes, but like I never allowed myself. Like I always felt it. That's why I wanted to see him. But then when I would see him, I'm like, this is interesting, but he has a girlfriend. So I just kind of shut it off.
Right.
And then we were on tour in
Uh-huh,
New
I
York.
remember. Mhm.
And he basically saw that I was in New York through Instagram and was like, hey, I saw that you were in New York. I'm sorry I missed you. Hope the pod is going well. Would love to catch up soon. I was like, I'm actually still here. And so we grabbed dinner the night before I left. to go
She
back to
came home
LA.
from dinner. I was home.
And
She had
was
her
like,
short blonde hair at this
husband.
time. She was wearing like a animal print top
Uh-huh.
and a leather skirt.
Yes.
And she came home and she was like, something's different. She's like, something's different.
And I
about Sean."
shaved my
And then
whole
she
body.
shaved her whole body and then left again.
I was like, I'm going back.
yeah, you're like, I'm going back over.
That is
And you had your
amazing.
booties on.
Dude.
It was so it was white patent leather booties. There's some moments in life
Oh,
that you just
wow.
clock. I just clocked. I was like, something's happening.
Yeah.
I was
That's
like, you're
incredible.
different, something's different,
Marriage.
something's happening.
That's amazing. I love it.
And you know what's crazy? Me and Lindsey have like such an interesting story. That same weekend, she re-met Sean. I was getting engaged. I got engaged here in New York City. And so it was like her reconnecting with him. We had our next moment, like just it was a big weekend. And
That is a big weekend.
it was big.
What, Remy, is everything okay? Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Did you know? Did you hear him?
You felt
He
the
said
clicking?
Lindsey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't hear. I was like, whoa. I was like, you guys got like a connection.
Imagine. I just felt it. Like, I just
Yeah, literally.
manifested
You're
a
like
problem.
Remy. Yeah, literally.
Alrighty. Hopefully that's the last one.
Woohoo.
That's weird. Okay. Cool. We're good.
I love it. It's such a cute story. And from what I saw from the back of your son on Instagram, he's extremely adorable.
He is unbelievable.
I'll
He's
show
the
you
most
pictures
beautiful
after.
boy in the whole world.
Krista, I need to hear about dating now. You're back in the game.
Back in the game.
Are we on the apps?
This is the only thing I want to talk about in my life with my friends. I'm like feral. I'm a shaman for divorced women. So women that are getting divorced or about to divorce magnetize to me. So I have this friend. My friend group are all divorced women. So we talk about dating all the time.
I love
So
that.
post my relationship, I took a year off and didn't date at all. Just, recalibrated, did work on myself, just enjoyed being alone because I've actually been in relationships since I was 15. I was in a long-term relationship 6 years prior to that, and then another few 2-year relationships. So I didn't even know who I was really. Took a year off and then started dating, got on the apps for the first time I was in Europe. I was in Europe for a month like 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it in Europe. And I had an amazing time. Like I met someone in London who I would never look at twice at this point, but like started from the bottom and then kind of have gradually moved up. I think it is humbling for sure. I am surprised at every turn. I feel like it's been helpful for me because I think when you're in a relationship that long, you're like, oh, I thought about dating. I was like, I just had a different perspective of dating than when you're actually in it. And I think at this point, I'm not on apps anymore. So I was on apps for like 6 months. And at the end of being on apps, I just had a few situations that I was like, I don't know why I'm even in the same room as some of these men. Like I just was like, they're surprised they're talking to me. I'm surprised I'm talking to them. What's happening? And so I've been off the apps for the past year and I've just met people in person. And I just told God or universe, I was just like, I'm not going to be on the app. So you need to send men to me in other ways. And I'm really open out. Like you've seen me, like I talk to every man. I'm friendly with every man. I'm kind to every man. And what really helped me to be able to meet people in person was really starting the flow of engaging with every man in conversation. So before I would only talk to men that I was attracted to. Like I'd go out and I'd be like, if you're hot, I'm only talking to you. Like, and I'd kind of just keep my energy closed until I found someone I was attracted to. But then I'd find someone I was attracted to and be nervous and be a weirdo. So I was like, I need to start having conversations with men. So now every single man I talk to, I'm kind to, I make eye contact, and it helped me metabolize just conversations with men so I could be open. So now it's super easy for me to meet men out. And that's just kind of been my flow.
That's such a good call because also, not to be controversial, but attractiveness is not that meaningful in men.
Oh.
Let's just be honest.
100%.
Who cares if they're hot?
That's one thing I've
That
also had to metabolize.
Goes away.
too.
They all lose their hair. It just doesn't really matter.
There's an energy.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
all
that
about energy.
becomes-
And that's why it's so hard on the apps because
Yeah.
you can't pinpoint if this guy is going to have a knockout personality
Yeah.
and be
100%.
so hot because he's funny and cool and confident. Whereas the hot guy at the bar could have nothing going for him.
Oh, and
except for his looks.
I've done that. I've dated hotties and hotties are usually broke. Hotties are usually emotionally immature narcissists. And I was like, and now that I've gotten older, I'm like, what do you want? Do you want a hottie or do you want someone for your whole life? And so
Right.
I have felt like that. Like some of the men I've dated that I've met in person, I would never probably pick on the app, but they have swag or we have a vibe or they're funny. And so that's just helped me, to be more open and also just love and appreciate all men and leave open potential for possibility of whether we're connecting as friends or we're connecting
Sure.
openly. It kind of changed my view because I think a lot of women approach men. They're like, are you my husband? They kind of when you're single, you desperately want your husband. So
Yeah.
you're in the grocery store. You're like, are you my husband?
That was
Are
me.
you my husband? Are you my soulmate? That was me at the gym today. I was like, need to reframe. But if you do that, you're not going to be open to really beautiful experiences, encounters, meeting men that you could really grow with or, expand with. And I've also kind of taken off the lens of having to find my husband at this point. I just want to meet amazing people and I want to connect and I want to just like grow as much as I can. So I'm just kind of like light about it rather than like so hard and fast.
I love that. And also, to your point about talking to everyone, your husband, even though we're not looking for him directly,
Yeah.
could be the best friend of the guy you spoke to at the bar. And he's like, dude, my friend is your husband, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
And like, you
100%.
never would have known that if you didn't strike up that conversation.
Yeah. Like we were at Erewhon the other day and you saw me like to the register guy. I'm literally flirting with the register guy. I'm like, I love you. We're like, and then we leave.
They're saying I love you.
No, they're saying I love you. They were like, I love you. And I'm like, I love you too.
It was amazing.
Like, and I'm just like starting the vibe and energy of
Yeah.
flirt, which is the fucking best. And
It's
like,
so fun.
then we leave and I'm like in my flirt energy. And then a hottie came up and walked up to me and asked for my number because I was in that energy and I was open and nice.
Yes.
And the thing is too, is I think when I was younger, I was so mean to men that hit on me. Now a man hits on me, I like shake his hand. I'm like, thank you, brother. I'm like, I love you so much. I'm like, keep it up. Keep talking to women, approaching women. Like,
Yes.
I am like, it is so risky and vulnerable to hit on a woman. It is so risky and vulnerable. And women want that. But then when they do, they're mean to men.
Yes.
And so I'm just such a fan of being so kind, so respectful, so loving to men because it takes so much courage to approach a woman. And I want my man to approach me. And so I think we need to be kinder to the men that do approach women.
Yeah.
And we're living in a day and age where like men do not approach women.
Right.
No.
Like majority speaking because they're so on their phones, on the apps. They're kind of like, what do I say? I think they're afraid of how they're going to be judged by women. They're afraid of the flock of women over at the bar and like how their
Yeah.
girlfriends are going to react. So like that's God's work to say like, keep going, keep doing that. You're
Yes.
amazing.
Oh, I do. Sometimes they're
it's-
like, they want to leave me. They're like, hey, there was a guy on the beach the other day. I was in Miami. He asked for my number and I walked with him for 20 minutes. And he's like, hey,
He's like, I forget it.
He's like, my wife's over there. Let's just chill.
he's like, actually, I'm going the other way. I
Yeah.
gotta go. I was like, all right, thank you so much.
He's like, no. It's so funny. I saw a TikTok recently that was talking about, you know how, because you've lived in New York,
Yeah.
how construction workers used to like,
Oh,
catcall you,
holla.
and then never happens anymore. And this
Never.
girl was like talking into the
miss
phone
it.
on her TikTok, being like, I really miss this. Like, we fucked this up, guys.
No,
like,
we did.
I just feel so bad about myself when I walk by and no one says anything now. And
I
it's, like,
remember
same.
when I was in my like working as a bottle girl days and I would like be walking to work in my like little American Apparel dress or whatever the hell it was. And I remember just having such an like being excited to have an attitude as I walked by and just being
I know.
being like, are you serious?
Yeah, like
just
getting
so
ready to be mad.
obnoxious.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
We overdid it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you'd
overdid
have
it.
your like Rolodex. You'd be like, you wish.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, hello.
Yeah, you're
Have a
like,
great one.
Did you see me?
I'm like, you want me to bend over?
Yeah,
Like,
after I walk
what do you want
by.
from
Yeah.
me?
I love that. Okay, so you guys are very into spirituality,
Yes.
which I love. What is a spiritual practice that you're like, that's bullshit?
Oh, this is such a great question. So, just for background for people, so our podcast is Spirituality and Wellness. We've been doing it for like 10 years now. So, I've been in the spirituality space for like 15 years, even before that. So, our journey, just for a little background to explain the thing, was trying every single thing. Like, I've had maybe 500 psychic readings. I've had maybe 500 healing sessions. We've done plant medicine, darkness retreat, traveled all over the world, met with every spiritual guru teacher. They've had them on the show. Like, we've done and explored everything. I think men as spiritual teachers. I'm just kidding. What I've found to be something that is just absolutely bullshit, I think, is the obsession with spirituality as a way to like escape is something that people do quite often. So people in the spirituality space kind of use it as a way to avoid what's actually going on. And so they'll do all the tools and practices to just avoid feeling or avoid the truth.
Like tapping, is that kind of something that you
actually-
think is avoidant?
I actually fucked with tapping.
Okay.
I like tapping because you're actually in the process of affirming truth. And it's a little bit of parts work. Do you know parts work?
No.
So internal family systems parts work, it kind of leverages that. So basically you're loving, honoring, and accepting the part of you that's nervous or anxious. So you're acknowledging your anxiety, and then you're helping move that anxiety through your meridians by using your body and incorporating your body. So I actually really love tapping. I think manifestation gets a little bit kind of out there sometimes, but it
Yeah.
works.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think. What do you think?
Quick pause.
It's hard because it's like
Oh, okay, I'll say one.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. We can cut this in and reset. Okay. I actually think past life regressions and Akashic record readings are just like, come on, bro. Like, it's just spiritual entertainment. You're basically going into the Akashic, which, is this 6-dimensional records of your entire life from every single lifetime you've ever had. And in it, you're told basically past lifetimes. And I just don't understand how past lifetime work is that helpful. It's usually just entertaining. You're like, oh, I was Cleopatra, and then I did this thing and I did this thing. And it's like, how are you actually going to apply that to your life instead of making yourself just feel better or more special? It's like, unless it's applicable or helpful, it's just entertainment.
Yeah.
I tried so hard to apply my past life regression. I was like, I'm just missing.
Which one do we have?
It was in LA, yeah,
Okay.
I remember. And then I was like this girl, like screaming on this rock at the edge of the ocean.
I can't.
And I was like, cool.
no,
But I was like, so is that me singing and I'm on stage now? It was just like,
how do you
it just
apply
felt
that to
too
your
far.
life?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've also done plant medicine,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I think can be, an incredible tool for some. But to Krista's point earlier about escapism, we did ayahuasca in Costa Rica at a really beautiful facility, very supportive, but there were 70 people in the room, lots of energy. And so, we're doing ayahuasca next to 70-year-old Bob to my right, and
My guy on my right had a sex addiction.
yeah. So it's
Mhm.
like you're really in a room of some intense
Yeah.
afflictions and but all that to say, most of the people in the room, that was like their 10th or 15th ayahuasca ceremony. And not knocking, but I do think that there's a point at which plant medicine can become actually a really dope, fun, like escape
Mhm.
for a few
Spiritual
hours.
entertainment.
Totally,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can become addicted to the information that you're getting or you think you're getting through these experiences, um, and you just want more and more and more. Our experience was very gentle for the most part, pretty beautiful and light. I think that's what we needed that first time. But I haven't really felt the call or desire to go back. Maybe I will at some point in my life, but I really think like plant medicine, whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's bufo, or whether it's psilocybin, like calls to you.
Mhm.
There's not this like if you're seeking it and trying to make it happen, like I don't know if it's time or the right medicine for you, but yeah, like I think there's an industry around it now. There's a business of plant medicine now that like sometimes I just have to take like a second look where I'm like, okay, like where is this? Are there actual, shamans of the medicine that
Yeah.
are experienced,
Yeah.
guiding people? Because it can get a little dicey.
Yeah.
You're really going, this medicine is taking you very deep. And if you don't have the experience or the understanding of the plant and also how it works, um, people have like psychotic breaks.
Yeah.
Like it could be really
It's
damaging.
dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as someone who's sober, I will tell you, I've seen it be addicting.
Oh, yeah.
Like very addicting. And
Yeah.
people think that it's just like, a medicine, but like it's not.
No.
Like just how weed is not. Like
Yeah.
these,
I completely
it
agree
can
with
really get
weed.
out of hand.
We had I'll never forget years ago, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had a doctor on who was talking about weed, and he was talking about, how people are like stoners. There's that perception of people being stoners. What's actually happening is they have adrenal fatigue, because what weed hits on is that like HPA axis of your adrenals. So it actually can fry your adrenals and make you exhausted and tired. And I think weed is so much more serious, I think, than we
Oh yeah.
have thought.
I
And
mean,
I think,
that's what I'm sober from.
wow.
Which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's very addicting.
Wow.
And there's a huge community. I forget the thing that it's called, but there's like a life-threatening disease that you could get from, hold on, I'm going to look it up because
Wow.
I don't want to say the wrong thing, that you can get from smoking weed. Disease from smoking.
Ask Chat Daddy.
weed. It's called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, CHS.
Whoa.
And basically it makes you like unable to eat and you start vomiting. And this is for very regular weed smokers. This isn't for your occasional,
Mhm.
but it's very serious and life threatening. And there's like huge communities for it online.
Wow.
And it's really crazy. And some people who are on the edge, like are not every second smokers, but smoke a lot, can have the symptoms of it without actually having the disease. Anyway, it's crazy and very addicting. So yeah, that's a real thing for sure. But moving away from the drugs and wellness conversation and back to dating for a hot second. When you were dating, Linz, and when you are dating now, are you following dating rules? Because I don't know if you know, but I'm such a stickler about my dating rules. And I'm just curious if there are any dating guidelines that you follow. Like, for example, not sleeping together on the first date, no more than 2 drinks on a first date, letting them kind of initiate and things like that.
Yeah, in my previous pattern was being the initiator and leading. So I was leading and I was the initiator with everyone that I dated. So I was kind of in the masculine, like holding the frame. I was like, we're going to do this, you're going to do this, like always. And so I've been switching that sort of paradigm in this experience with the men that I've been dating. I think that it's not even a rule for myself, but I wouldn't sleep with someone on the first date. I just don't feel safe with someone until there's a point in time and when I know someone, when I know they actually see me. And that's when I feel safe enough to have sex. So if that's the second date, if that's 3 months in, that's what it is. So I'll just feel energetically whenever I feel safe. I have always had men pay. I've never had a man want to split. I've never had a man not treat me really well on a date. I've had men before dates be really weirdos and, kind of cut that. But I think being older, it kind of creates rules within you that you live by that you naturally do. But I'm curious what rules you're talking about.
So no more than 2 drinks on a first date, no sex on a first date, not because it's not sex positive, but more because, like you don't feel safe yet. It's way hotter to wait. Like,
I agree.
The buildup is great.
I'm like, if you're going to have your whole life, I'm like, I want to wait.
Yeah. Like I'm turned off if I have sex with them on the first date. It's not even about the guy.
Because inevitably it's not going to be that great.
I love,
and if it is that great, then you're fucked.
Living,
you're in love with them.
Living in sexual tension is like my dream. I love that. Like,
right. I don't believe in the thank you text after the date. This one's like a little
like that.
controversial. Like you thank them on the date, we're good. If they want to take you out again, they'll reach out to you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like that.
I'm definitely like let the man lead type of thing. I don't initiate any dates, but I can help them plan it if they have initiated it. Like I'm not helpless. I'm just very much like be an onion, not everything all at once.
Oh, for
all
sure.
of that stuff. I'm trying to think of
men will leave dates with me and be like, "That was amazing. I had the best date and know nothing about me."
Exactly.
Know nothing.
Which is great.
But that's one of the 48 laws of power is for you to share just enough where people feel close with you.
Yes.
But not too much.
Yeah.
And speaking of power, I like to end the date after 2 hours. Like 2 hours is the longest.
Okay, that's good.
For the first 3 dates. You gotta leave them wanting more.
I just remember those early days of dating and having like freaking
marathon dates. Marathon.
Oh, I know, that was
dates.
the best.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a power move though.
And I mean that's really it. Just when I was dating and drinking, the no more than 2 drinks was paramount for me.
Yeah.
Dating sober obviously wasn't a thing. And I mean that's like the gist.
Yeah.
People listening are gonna be like, you forgot 100 rules, but that's the gist.
I think that for me, I just do what feels good to me. I don't watch reels on TikTok or Instagrams. I don't watch any dating advice online. I'm not going to watch dating advice from someone that is not me, that is not living. Like, I'm just like, there's so much information out there and I think some of it's helpful, but I also think it's really just sort of creating this dynamic where women have so much information and are approaching men with like all of this idea of men and information and dating and all these things and aren't allowing things to just unfold naturally and beautifully. It's like in the moment, if I feel like I want to go for longer, I'm going to go for longer. If I tune in and I feel like I want to end the date at 2, I'm going to end the date at 2. And it's just like trusting yourself is the best rule to ever have. It's like, I don't, even if I make a mistake, I'm like, I learned from it. It was good. It was a part of my process.
Yeah. I would change so much, like going back to dating now.
What rules would you imply for yourself?
I would definitely wait to sleep with them. I was sleeping on the first or second date. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah,
whatever. You were having fun. It wouldn't have led you to where you are
and
now.
it, I think that happened with my long-term boyfriend, and that that worked for a time. But I really to your point of like drinking and dating, I was drinking, and like I would never feel great either the next morning or
Right.
even just like going home late at night, just feeling a little empty. And I think it just becomes really leaky when you've just kind of like let someone in like that in a very intimate way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without the trust, without the seeing of you on a, you don't have to know their soul, but it's just like, when someone sees you, when they respect you. And I think more and more now, I'm not in the dating scene, but I feel like guys are kind of getting hip to like just the fact that we're going to wait.
Yeah.
And that's actually enjoyable.
And that, by the way, is a more specific rule. I like to say 6 dates.
That's a good one.
Ooh.
I waited for my ex. We waited like 3-4 months.
That's great.
Like months before.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
I was kind of concerned at that point, but I was ready to go.
You could do other things.
I know,
you know.
I would also, one more thing, I would also really try not to future trip as I'm sitting across from them on a date.
That's a good one.
Because I read about this in the book, because I literally would not be present on each date. I would be sitting across from them being like, wow, he would be a great father. And like, I wonder if my dad's going to like him. And will we have like a house in the Adirondack? Like just I think women's minds are amazing. The imaginations are incredible. And sometimes they work against us because we're literally living in the future while someone is trying to get to know us. We're trying to get to know them. And so as best as I can, if I were dating now, I would try to be present and just like let them, like you said, little onion unfolding in front of me, get curious, like ask the follow-up questions and just see how it like feels. I want to get to know them more. Let's go on a second date rather than going home and being like, wait, do I even did I like them or do I like the fantasy that I created at the date?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This is so much fun, guys. I don't ever want to stop, but we're at rapid fire time.
Okay, rapid fire.
We are going to do some rapid fire poll questions over here. Okay, these are poll questions we do on our Instagram story. These are ones that are closer in, like almost 50-50.
Okay.
Some are really silly. Are you fixated on pooping every day? Yes or no?
No.
I like to poop every day.
Yeah, I would like to.
I enjoy it, but I'm not fixated on it.
You're RSVPing no to a coworker, hypothetical coworker's wedding who you're not even really friends with. Do you still have to give a gift? Yes or no?
I do.
Yeah.
I just care too much what people think of me.
Your husband said yes to going on a bachelor trip when you're 8 months pregnant. Acceptable or unacceptable?
No. I gave birth early.
How early?
Just 3 weeks, but
you
never know.
Yeah.
I think that time's pushing it. 7 months, I'd say yes.
What would you say, Krista?
I think I want to say yes, but I think I'm going to change my mind when I'm married. I think I'm going to be a different woman.
Yeah.
When I'm pregnant. So maybe me as a pregnant person says no.
Do you know anyone who's called off their wedding?
Oh, that's such a good one. I know many women that have gone through it knowing that they shouldn't have. Do you feel like that?
I don't think I know anyone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know people who've called off and people who went through it but shouldn't have. What would you rather people talk about behind your back? Your appearance or your life choices?
Life choices.
I mean, people do both. So I'd rather have people talk about my life choices, I guess.
Because I'm like, at this age, I own my life.
Totally.
Choices.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm doing my best in both.
5 days in with a guy and you have the same amount of drinks, but he's way drunker than you. Is that an ick or no big deal?
Ick.
Yeah, ick.
I said like it's not it's cute that he has a low tolerance. Like it means he doesn't drink a lot. But then a lot of people DM me and they were like, no, he drank before the date. And I was like, oh, that's
you know what's so
nasty.
crazy? In LA, not many people drink. So talking about drinking is very New York to me.
Yeah.
Because
I get
honestly,
that.
no one drinks. Like nobody that I know drinks.
Yeah.
So having 5 drinks.
And it just feels different because you have to drive everywhere. It's
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Your significant other acts distant whenever you have a big project or presentation for work coming up. Nothing rude, just doesn't seem as responsive or proactive in talking to you. No big deal or red flag.
That was my whole life.
Red flag.
Yeah, red flag.
I just think you said it's partner?
Yeah.
Significant other? Yeah, I mean, we gotta be tuned in.
Yeah.
You know, I know nothing about Sean's finance world. I know words that I can kind of plug
Right.
in, but like
You still
I'm
act
tuned
like-
in. I'm
yeah.
like, how's that
Mhm.
meeting today? Like I just want
Right,
to check
right,
in with
right.
you. I know it's important. Like
Mhm.
I know you've been stressed about it.
Right.
You know?
29-year-old dating a 46-year-old man. Is that too big of an age gap? Yes or no?
29, 46.
Your prefrontal cortex comes online when you're like in your 20s. So I guess you're almost 30. So you are going through your Saturn return, going through some things.
You're at the end of it.
You're at the end of it. I don't know, man.
I think it's too big of a gap.
I
I
do
have a
too.
friend in this gap right now.
Yeah.
Really?
Oof.
And I think what happens, and I think it depends culturally too, but I think what happens is that the 46-year-old is in a different bracket of life experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also in a different generation, I think.
Yeah,
potentially.
for sure.
And so sometimes there's this like kind of you're immature vibe, and then there's the control of that. So it's like you don't know enough, you haven't lived enough life. And this is very specific to this dynamic that I'm speaking about, but like I do think that could
Yeah.
happen.
It can play out like that.
Mhm.
I said to this, it depends how immature the 46-year-old is.
That's you have to be. Like also
Yeah.
too, does he have any 29-year-old guy friends?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it always like, oh, she's she's an old soul. Like she's just so are you also hanging out
a
with
young soul?
Yeah, if you're a young soul, you're also hanging out with 29-year-old
Right,
men. No,
right.
you're not.
He's great, but you don't think he makes enough to support your lifestyle, stay or leave.
Every man I've dated, except for the well, what would I stay or leave? I'd stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if the connection's
another
there,
one
I'd
came.
say I think like building together has like a sexiness to it.
Mhm,
If that's
mhm.
potential there. But I nuance. If there's no motivation,
Yes, true.
Yeah.
ick.
Should romantic relationships be easy or take work? You can only choose one. You can't.
Oh.
You can't elaborate. Easy or take work.
They take work.
I did work for 10 years, dog. I want easy.
Yeah.
I worked hard
different
enough to be
perspective.
this. Now
Mhm.
it's easy.
Mm-hmm. You work out daily and eat healthy, but your male partner doesn't do either. Is the relationship doomed?
If that's one of your values, I'd say potentially. You know, and it makes him feel insecure, I'm sure, at some points. But
It's a no. That's a no for me.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work out and eat well.
Mm-hmm.
Not like
Or just
insanely.
care.
Just care.
Do you
Yeah.
think a guy that you're newly talking to, so like Krista, let's say you're newly talking to a guy, he goes to a strip club on a bachelor party. Do you think he should tell you?
Yes, strip clubs are a no for me.
Mm.
That's just a boundary for me. It's a
Mm.
no. What good is coming to our connection by you doing that?
I
and there's no-
I disagree.
So, okay, okay. Let me just say one thing, and then I want to hear your side.
Mhm.
There's also what equal is there for women?
Chip and Dale.
Understood. Yeah. I mean, have you seen Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?
I have.
Understood, but I think he's on a bachelor party and it's a tradition and he's going to support his friend. Unless he's that sus ass guy who goes to the back room with a girl, he's not doing anything wrong in my opinion.
Okay.
But he should tell you.
Oh,
It's
for
weird if
sure.
he doesn't tell you.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think telling.
I
Yeah,
just
it's-
why is it normal? For me, I'm like, why is that normalized?
It's just like it. I don't know. I wish I had the answer, but that's just like what it is. you
And
know?
if you had a preference, would you say, if you had a preference outside of anything for him to go or not, what would your preference be?
yeah, go. I don't care.
Stop.
I swear to God, but my
Stop
husband
it.
is like a nerd who plays chess. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, go.
You're like,
have
actually,
fun.
go.
Like,
Yeah.
like learn a thing or
Yeah.
two. You know, maybe she could
That's
teach you
true.
something.
That's true.
You'll bring it back to me.
There was a point in my relationship, like at one point, where I would love when women would hit on him. Because
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is great. Like,
Mhm.
it reminds you like you got a little something.
Yeah.
So there's that. Maybe my opinion will change, but for me in this journey, I don't like strip clubs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't love strip clubs, but like I don't think anything of him if he's going with a group of guys on a bachelor trip.
No,
And
I'm
he'll
not.
always
If he's
tell
like
me
going
if something
alone,
happens.
like or not on an occasion, like that's so.
He's going
fucking
for
weird.
wings.
Yeah,
at
no.
5 p.m.
Yeah, no. But like on a bachelor party,
Yeah.
it's different.
No, my man's locking himself in a room and FaceTiming me the whole time.
Stop, I'm dead. This was so much fun. Can you guys leave us with a quote or piece of advice, maybe something from the book, and then tell us where to find it, obviously.
Yeah, our new book, Almost 30, A Definitive Guide to a Life You Love for the Next Decade and Beyond, is out now. We're so proud. We're so excited for this book to be in people's hands. And I think, one of the big messages I hope people take away from the book is just that you can trust the timing of your life. You are never, ever behind. You are literally on a path of becoming more of who you are. And that really sets you up to create a life you love.
Yeah, in the book, we have really like raw, vulnerable stories that we've never shared before. And, over the years on having a podcast, you share so much. So we open each chapter up with really like just stories we've never shared. And then we have really practical, actionable support for people, whether it's career, purpose, spirituality, body, relationships, friendships. And then we have a bunch of really good quotes from some of our podcast guests. So like in each section, we have something called Pass the Mic. So we have quotes from people like Glennon Doyle, Jay Shetty, Gabby Bernstein, just really great people in the space. And it's just something I'm so proud of, and I can't wait for people to get it.
Love it. Leave us with a quote or piece of advice. What's your quote or piece
You're
of
not
advice?
behind. You're becoming.
I just said that.
Lindsey took that.
Do another one.
It's all happening for your, or wait. What's another one? What's another tagline?
It's all happening.
Oh,
works.
man.
Allow uncertainty to feel like adventure.
Love that.
Thanks.
Love it. Where can
Thank you.
everyone find you guys? Order the book, listen to the pod.
Yeah, you can order the book anywhere books are sold in person or online. You can listen to Almost 30 Podcasts anywhere you listen to pods. We're on Instagram at Almost 30 Podcast. I'm at Lindsey Simcik.
And I'm at It's Krista.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thank
girl.
you,
This has been so much
guys.
fun.
Lindsey with an EY.
I know.
No Lindsay is here.
Thank you, Acme family. Ta-ta.
That was so
Bye.
That was so